Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about something very important in immigration for most of my clients. That is, what is a bona fide marriage? If your spouse is sponsoring you for a green card or citizenship, you must prove you have a bona fide marriage. I'm Raluca Hanea. I provide immigration, estate planning, and family law services for my clients, and Nina Clear is my marketing and office manager, and she's here with me. Thank you for helping many people see our videos with all your likes, shares, and comments.
Will you first define what a bona fide marriage is?
Sure. It just means that you have a genuine, true marriage.
And why is that important in immigration?
Because you have to show that you married because you wanted to be married, not just for immigration purposes. If you did it only for immigration purposes, it is considered fraud and a sham marriage.
And the burden is on you and your spouse to prove that, right?
Yes, we talked about this in another video, but it is really important for people to understand USCIS starts with the presumption that your marriage is only for immigration purposes. Therefore, you have to show the immigration officer that it's not true.
And if you don't show that, or you're found to have entered into a marriage fraudulently, there are a number of penalties, right?
Yes, it's the penalties are pretty big, steep. If you are an immigrant, you can be banned from ever entering the United States. If you are the U.S. citizen, you can be fined and or imprisoned.
And almost monthly, USCIS has listed on their website Americans who helped people with fraudulent marriages.
That's right.
And the big fines they've gotten and the prison time.
Yes.
Too. So.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that they actually give you a conditional green card, right?
Exactly. When you receive a green card by marriage, unless you meet certain criteria, including having been married and lived in the U.S. for a specific length of time, your initial green card is conditional so that you can show USCIS you truly have a valid marriage.
And then how do you show that your marriage is valid?
First, you should start gathering supporting evidence before or immediately after you get married. Please don't wait until USCIS schedule your interview to realize you haven't taken any pictures. That happened.
Yeah.
To someone.
Don't take pictures. Like, even if you don't like yourself in pictures, take pictures.
Take pictures, yes. Every time you go to a restaurant, every time you meet with family and friends, take some pictures.
So, because that's one thing that you should have is pictures together. And if you don't, USCIS is like, why don't you have any pictures, right?
Yes, yes. And pictures, like they said, they speak 1,000 words. You don't have to explain so much.
Right.
You just show your pictures there with your family. So, yes. And you need to show that you have been together, that you live together, that you have financial responsibilities together. If you have children together, that may be used as proof as well.
So you should be on the birth certificate if you're the father, and the mother hopefully is on the birth certificate as well.
Yes.
So, do you need to have the same things when you want to remove conditions, like the same type of proof is what I mean?
Absolutely. USCIS still wants to know that this marriage is bona fide and not entered into for immigration purposes only. So for the whole time that you are under a conditional green card, you should just keep all your bills and all the proof that you have that you've been together all this time.
Okay. And what are some things that might raise a red flag for USCIS?
For example, if you don't speak each other's language, it can be a flag. If you don't have pictures together, if you don't live together, or you have nothing to show you have a life together.
And is that an automatic denial if you don't live together?
Not necessarily. I have helped clients before who didn't live together to obtain their green cards and citizenship, but you have to show that you have valid reasons for not living together, like one spouse working out of state or you are going to school, and you need to show other evidence that proves that you have a relationship.
What about if you marry someone and when you marry them, it's a valid marriage, but then things don't work out? Can you still get a green card?
It really depends on individual circumstances. I've had clients who have had this happen and been successful in helping them to obtain their legal permanent residence. I would recommend that situation that they talk to an attorney sooner rather than later. And above all, do not lie about your situation or ignore requests or for evidence sent by USCIS.
Okay, and besides sending in paperwork, is there any other way to prove you have a bona fide marriage?
Yes, you will have an interview with USCIS, with an USCIS officer, and you will be asked questions about how you met, about each other, and about your relationship.
Is it a good idea to practice your answers together?
Sure. I mean, if you remember that you met walking your dogs and your husband remembers seeing you across a crowded floor dance, that might raise a flag for the officer.
So don't make it up, but just make
up.
sure that your answers agree.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
You like your clients to be kind of natural and not like...
Yes, we don't. I mean, I will never coach my client into saying anything. We just rehearse just the basic information to make sure they remember each other's date of birth, and some people are not good with numbers, so they need to talk to each other before and refresh their recollection before the interview.
Okay.
Although it did happen in the interview when they didn't remember their marriage date.
Oh, but it didn't hurt them.
But it was usually men.
Okay.
So yes, look at your marriage certificate. Remember the day you got married. Yes.
And what are some unusual questions that you think people should be prepared for?
Sometimes I heard the officer asking things like if your spouse has any tattoos, or about favorite or least favorite food. They might ask you who sleeps on which side of the bed or things like that.
So can you have anyone else besides the spouses support the fact that you are married?
Yes, you can add affidavits from family or friends who know about your relationship to the evidence that you send.
And we've had people call, actually a lot. People call and they don't live in the same state because they work in different states, or they have to travel for work, or they're in school. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but is that going to be a problem for somebody?
It may cause a red flag, so you need to show by other evidence that you have a bona fide relationship,
and
even
how,
in that situation.
Okay, how could you do that if you don't live together?
Well, you have to show that you have records of your communication, if you Skype or you talk on the phone or what you do, or you have visited each other, and you, for example, you had to fly. Keep records of all that travel documents.
Or if you hate flying and you drive, keep records of all of that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything that would 100% guarantee you won't be approved?
Yes. And this might sound obvious, but if you were married to someone else and are in divorce, or you cannot prove you were divorced, or if you have been found guilty of immigration fraud previously. But even with the previous fraud finding, there may be remedies if you talk to an immigration attorney. So they can review your record and determine if you have any chance of being approved.
Okay, so if you've been found guilty of fraud by USCIS, is what we're talking about.
Yes.
You recommend that they hire an attorney.
Absolutely. Actually, right away, because there is a limited time frame to answer to that finding.
Okay. And that's something you don't want to put off. Like we said in our other
No.
video, don't come in 5 days before you're.
No, because if that decision remains final,
Then
it's very hard to overcome.
Okay.
So
Now, does a couple have to file joint tax returns?
they don't need to, but it is recommended. Again, USCIS is looking for proof that your life is together, so filing joint tax returns can help to prove that. I really hope this helps people understand that the most important parts, it's very important to prove that you have a bona fide marriage, that the burden of proof is on the couple. And USCIS presumes every marriage is entered into for fraudulent reasons. So if you keep records throughout your relationship and provide them, this will really help them to see you are married for the long term. Thank you so much for watching today. And if you have questions, please drop us a private message, post it here, or call our office. We're always here to help. See you next week.